Hi, and welcome back to LSP TV. I'm your host LSP, and this is part 3 of Understanding the Language of Price, how intuition plays a role. So the contents today are: what is intuition, intuition versus experience, which is better when it comes to trading and investing, and is there really a difference between the two? And if we listen to our experiences, we will always have an edge. So intuition is akin to having an experienced guide pointing the way. So what is intuition? When people mention the word intuition, or when you hear the word intuition, I guess it brings connotations or ideas of mediums and crystal balls and all of this crazy nonsense of future telling, and it really isn't that at all. We've all had that experience, I imagine, where you have a gut feeling something's not quite right, and this is not what I'm talking about. When it comes to the markets, and everything that we're discussing obviously is market related, it's trading related, it's investment related, it's money related. Yeah. So with that in mind, when I'm talking about intuition, I'm talking about that feeling of you're looking at something, you're analyzing, you're doing your research, your due diligence, you're looking at an investment opportunity, or you're looking to open a trade. You're looking at your indicators or your system, your methodology, however you view, your analysis when you're looking to put money into the market. And something's telling you yes or no. Yeah, you've got that, whatever it is, that's telling you yep or no. Yeah, that's effectively your intuition. But where does that come from? Yeah, it's not a bolt of lightning that's coming from an external force. Yeah, this is something that's culminated through your experiences in the marketplace. Okay, but there is a separation between the two. Okay, although they're fused together, and the culmination of your experiences throughout your, I guess, journey in investments and trading and your career, so to speak, all of those experiences culminate into an intuition that's refined. Yeah, so you see things just before they're about to happen sometimes, or you get a feeling and you're like, do you know what, I'm not quite sure about this, I'm going to get out. And I'm sure some of you that are listening to this have been in a trade, for example, and something's not quite sitting right with you, so you just get out of the trade, and your system's not really telling you to get out. There's no reason to get out technically. There's no indicator that's telling you to get out. Everything seems okay, but there's something that's just not quite right about the trade, so you get out, and then all of a sudden the trade goes against you and you would have lost money. Yeah, that's experience. Yeah, it's experience and intuition all mingled together. But the intuition, that feeling, yeah, and this is what I'm trying to separate. The intuition, that little push, is a culmination of all of those experiences, okay, that gave you the intuition to pull out of that trade in the first place. It's that yes or no. Yeah, it's all culminated experiences that gives you that intuition. Okay, so intuition versus experience. Experience is something that we can look back on, yeah, and say, I've experienced this. Yeah, I remember it. I can experience it. I can look back at the memory. I can go through my senses. We experience it through our senses: sight, smell, touch, and so on. And you can remember those experiences. You can re-experience those experiences, and we can learn from those, and so on. Whereas intuition is not something that we can learn from, so to speak. We can't, when you have that feeling where something's not quite right, you can't look at that feeling and go, yeah, something's not quite right, and then break that down and try and figure it all out. The only way that you can understand your intuition, so to speak, is to try to figure out which experiences are tied to that intuition, and it's very difficult to do. And to be fair, it's completely pointless. There's no need to go down that road. Learning to trust it, that's a completely different issue. Yeah. Now, before I continue with the presentation, I'm going to stop for a second, and I just want to explain some things, because there's some people that I've spoke to throughout the years, have said, when I've had this conversation with people before, because I bring this up quite a lot with people, and they're like, "Oh, what's this got to do with trading?" Well, quite a lot actually, because when you get to a point where your trading is very refined, yeah, And when I say trading, I just mean everything: trading, investing, just everything. When you get to a point where your trading is very refined, and you're a veteran, you've been, through the wars, you've lost money, you've got to break even, you've paid your dues, you've been through a lot of pain, psychology's taken a pounding, you've learned to adjust, you've changed, you've become a completely different person, you've worked on yourself, you've gone through all of that process. Okay, you come to a point where you start to realize that there are other parts of this process that have a very important part within the whole. It's not just about ticking boxes. Yeah, it's not just about having a box or a system and saying, okay, these are the parameters. This is the input, this is the output, this is the A, this is the B, this is 1 + 2. It's not the way it works. You have to be able to treat your investments as a journey, but also as a process that you are engaged in constantly. Yeah, things are always dynamic, things are changing, and it's not just about, I'm going to buy at one set price, and when it gets to another set price, I'm just going to sell, because along the way, things are changing. Yeah, everything around us globally, especially with cryptocurrency. I mean, cryptocurrency, the technologies that are always coming out, it's changing at such an incredibly fast pace. There are new and exciting technologies that are changing the face of the world literally on a daily basis. There's something new coming out constantly, and I don't mean these new coins that are coming out all the time. These are just pump and dump schemes that get people into trouble. I'm talking about real substance. I'm talking about companies that are really trying to make a difference in the world. Okay, where they offer serious quality, good utilities, good technology that actually makes a difference to the masses, difference to global economies, difference to to the global systems, and really make an impact on each country as a whole, and holistically, should I say. So when we start to realize this, when we're in these trades, our intuition or our experiences, right, we have to remember it's not just about, like I said, buying and then just selling. It's about getting into something, feeling that, being a part of that, making sure that we're on top of that, making sure that we're trusting our analysis, making sure that we're trusting our gut feel, making sure that we are, analyzing what we're doing, making sure that we're, constantly getting that feedback loop. Yeah, so we're assessing what we're doing. We're trusting our instincts, because our instincts are very important. We are the defining factor. I've said this many, many times. And as the defining factor, we have to be able to trust what we're seeing, and we have to be able to act on that experience and trust the intuition, which is effectively the yes and no. So the easiest way to understand and to say this is, as we experience the market and experience our investments and trading opportunities and the things that we're in, as we're trading, as we're investing, and we're experiencing that, we eventually get to a point where the intuition kicks in, which is the yes and the no. Does this make sense? Yes, I'm sticking with it. Does this make sense still? No, I'm not, and then you act accordingly. But remember, that intuition will only come, that yes and no will only come through a culmination of all of those experiences, and eventually you will learn to trust your experience. And again, that's another experience. Yeah, sorry, you will learn to trust your intuition, but again, that's another experience. So as you experience and experience and experience and experience more of this intuition, more of this yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, this feeling of, I'm not quite sure about this, the more you will learn to trust it. And knowing the difference between intuition and experience can sometimes be tricky, but the more you experience it, the more you learn to trust it. So which one is better when it comes to trading and investing? Yeah, when that little voice in your head is telling you to wait, it's best to wait. Between the two, okay, experience and intuition, experience will always trump intuition, always, okay? The reason being is because intuition will always be down to you as a person, okay? And experience will always be down to something that you can measure, yeah? You can't measure intuition. You can't look back on your life and say, okay, I remember. There are specific times where you might say, I'll give you an example in my life. I was driving down the motorway many, many years ago. And something, for whatever reason, I don't know, I was just driving down the motorway, and it was a normal journey that I've done so many times, quite a long distance, and I just decided to just fork left, pull off the motorway, and go the longer way round. I don't know why I did it. I just did, and then when I arrived at my destination, it took me an extra 25 minutes, almost half an hour. Didn't really think much of it. And when I got there, about an hour later, I found out that there was a pile-up on the motorway. There was a massive accident, and I would have been, I guess, part of that accident maybe, I don't know. Something just happened. It was one of those things. Was it? I'm not going to go into it too much, but the point is, something was just telling me to turn off, so I turned off. I don't know why. This happens. I can look back at that and say, yeah, I remember that it happened. It was quite vivid in my mind, yeah. But I can't remember all of the times that that's happened in my life. But with experience, I can. I can remember, and I've made a note in my trading journals, on my spreadsheets. I can look back and I can say, yes, I remember when I opened a trade on QCOM and it did this, and this, because I've catalogued it, I've noted it, I've got charts, I've got charts I can see. The 1 minute chart was doing this, it was paired with the 15-minute chart, the daily was doing this, and so on. So I can look back and I can look at all of those little experiences and I can tie it all together and say, right, there's a pattern here. This makes sense, yeah? So I can look back on that experience and I can say, yes, this is something that I can verify. Yeah, I can verify this going forward. With intuition, it's like I said before, it's very difficult to do. So between the two, experience is always better when it comes to trading and investing because we can measure it and we can learn from it, and it's like a constant loop over and over and over and over again. The intuition part is something that we look to not as a defining mechanism to our trading decisions, but it's something that we look on as a little thumbs up from time to time when we really genuinely learn to trust and feel that, you know what, I'm not sure about this, something's not quite right. And it may not always be get out, it may just be just do a little bit more research because there's something not quite right about this. I remember a long time ago, and I may have mentioned this story before, but we were looking to buy a property again many years ago, and it was a great property, great opportunity. The going price was reasonable, and when we were looking at the property, on the surface of it, it didn't look like there was anything wrong with the property. We put an offer in, everything was fine. And I said to my brother, something's not quite right about this property. So we did a little bit more research, and it turned out that the entire property was riddled with what's it called, woodworm. Yeah, is it woodworm? Yeah, woodworm. So it would have cost so much money to get all of this woodworm treated, and some of the beams would have had to have been replaced, and it would have just cost so much money, and it was just not viable in terms of profit and return on investment. So we obviously went away from that. But that little nudge to just do a little bit more due diligence, was enough to keep us out of an investment that probably would have, maybe lost us money, or if nothing else, would have given us a massive headache and probably put us off, doing something like that further down the line. So again, it's not always just yes, get in, no, get out. It's not like a yes, no all the time. Sometimes it can just be do a little bit more research. So we have to learn, to understand what's happening to us when we're engaging in the market. And again, this all takes time. Yeah, it's not something that we just learn, in 1 day or 2 days or a week or two, 2 weeks, a month, or whatever. It's a long process, and it's a wonderful process as we're going through it throughout the months and the years, because you're going to be trading anyway, you're going to be investing anyway. The whole point of going through this process is to learn to become a better trader, a better investor, and a better person, because it spill out into your life anyway. You will become more disciplined and so on. So as you're going through this process anyway, you will learn to become more experienced, and through your experience, your intuition will become much stronger and much more fine-tuned. So is there really a difference between the two? Like I said, there is a difference, and it's like I put here, sometimes knowing the difference between intuition and experience can change the outcome dramatically, and it can. And the only real difference, like I said, there is a difference between the two, but the only real difference is One can be defined and one can't. Yeah. Experience can be defined. Intuition can't really be defined in the sense that we can't look back at it and measure it. Yeah. And again, I'm talking about intuition regarding trading and investing. I'm not talking about intuition, in any other form, right? I'm just talking about trading and investing related intuition, the way that we're discussing it today. But experience can be measured. Yeah. And that's really, for me, the only real difference. So our thoughts: experience is something you can earn through pain. Okay. Intuition and experience will play a major role in your trading and investing. We have to learn to trust our gut, as they say. There will be plenty of times when something just doesn't seem right and your intuition or experience is telling you to slow down and take a second or third look before committing money to the market. It's at these times when you need to really listen. Okay? Between the two, experience will always be your better friend when it comes to making trading and investment decisions, because it is based on your personal experiences in the market. Experience is something you earn through years of hard work, trial and error, and paying your premiums, i.e. losing money, and is why it will always be the first thing that you listen to. Yeah? This is very important. Okay? When you are about to engage the market, in any form, whether it's learning, whether it's committing, i.e. putting money into the market, whether it's researching, whether it's analyzing, you have to remember, when you're experiencing the market, but when it comes to that point where you're about to pull the trigger, okay, if something doesn't feel right, okay, you have to learn to separate that and say, wait a second, is it fear that's preventing me from doing something, i.e. psychological? Yeah, because remember, psychology will always play a part in your trading and investing, always. Is it fear that's stopping me from pulling this trigger? This is money. I might, because sometimes it may just be you're using money that you can't afford to lose. Maybe you've borrowed money from somebody, and that's the fear of losing somebody else's money. You don't want to put that into the market, and you can't make the distinction between, you're looking at an investment opportunity that may be amazing, but because you're using somebody else's money, the fear's kicked in and you can't see that that's an amazing opportunity, and it's skewing that. Yeah? That's got nothing to do with experience or intuition. That's just the fear of losing somebody else's money that is putting a strain on your psychology. Yeah? And preventing you from pulling the trigger on what would otherwise be a perfectly normal, investment opportunity. So again, this isn't easy, guys. Yeah? This is not just a one fits all. Every individual is different. We have to learn what we are made of. We have to learn to address our own psychology. We have to learn to experience the market in our own way. And when we do this, we learn to experience the market through our own pain, through our own ups and downs. And when we do this, we learn to differentiate our experiences, our intuition, and our psychology. And then we learn to trust which one of those is in play. Yeah? So experience will always be the first one that you listen to, yeah? And as long as you can understand that, okay, this isn't really a fear, this is money, yep, that's fine, that's my own money, it's savings, I put it to one side, if I lose it, it doesn't matter. Right now, I can see this investment, it's looking good, but there's something not quite right. I've been involved in something like this before and I got burnt a little bit, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more time. I'm going to do a little bit more due diligence. My experience is telling me to just be a bit more cautious. Go with your experience. If you're looking at something and it looks great and you've done your due diligence and there's that little voice in the back of your head saying, well, I'm not sure about this, that may be your psychology kicking in, and it may very well not be intuition. So we have to learn. And again, remember, guys, we're very early on in this course, but there's a lot more to come, and as we start to get into the charts and we start to feel and understand, because as I said before in the previous part 2, towards the end, when we start to get into the charts and you start to understand how psychology plays a part when you're looking at the charts, okay, you will start to understand how all of this plays a role in terms of psychology, and I promise you will learn to differentiate the difference between psychology and intuition and experience, okay, as we start to really delve into the charts, okay, so just be patient, we will get to that. But for now, we will start to work on and start to understand these 3 different aspects, psychology, intuition, and experience. But the intuition and experience are the 2 that we're talking about today, and experience is the one that we focus on the most and that will trump all. And intuition is the one that will kick in from time to time, and that's the one that will invariably prevent you from making the biggest mistakes. Yeah, and we'll leave it at that. So next in part 4, we're going to be discussing time and how this affects everything. It's a very interesting concept, time, and I think you're going to find this one very enlightening. So I'm going to, I'm going to look forward to doing this this part for you, and I hope everybody's enjoyed this one. Obviously, I enjoyed talking about it, going through it, and as always, guys, I hope this video finds everybody well, and I look forward to seeing you guys in part 4. Take care.